Hey there, fellow modelers, Face here with you again. Well, if any of you watched my last video, you might remember that I was having a little trouble deciding what to do next. I went through my my ever-increasing in size stash and kind of went over the bullet points about each of the different kits that I had picked up over the last little while, trying to decide what to do next. Well, I had initially settled on the A-10, but because it's such an old kit, the fit was a little poor, the raised panel lines, it wasn't what I was, it wasn't for me. So I set it aside, and I'll probably never get back to it unless I need to borrow some of its ordnance. I mean, it did come with a really impressive array of weaponry, not surprisingly considering what kind of aircraft it is, but I may steal some of its missiles or rockets or something for something else in the future, but otherwise it's probably just going to end up sitting on the shelf forever. What I did do, however, is the A-18E Super Hornet, which I did. It's a single-seater version, but I believe they also have a double-seater option available as well, which I think the only difference would be this deck piece would be a little bit shorter, larger cockpit bubble obviously, and a bigger cockpit tub. But here it is. This is my first ever completed real-world aircraft subject. I've started a great many of them before. From World War II era stuff to modern stuff. Even last year I tried to do a 72nd scale F-22. I got about a third of the way through that and kind of gave up on it. Not a fan of 72nd scale, just too small. But you got to admit they do, take up a lot less shelf space. Anyway, so I did it up. The decal sheet really only includes options for one aircraft, which is from VFA 122 Flying Eagle Squadron. Though there are two different pilots you can do it up as. I can't remember the other one, but I did mine up as Captain V.F. Shorts, whose call sign is Boxer. Cute. Whether or not he's a real person, I'm not sure. If he is, well, hey. Cool call sign, man. I dig it. Anyway, like I said, this is my first ever aircraft, real-world aircraft kit that I've finished. So I did kind of consider it an experiment. And I think this was a good kit to start with. The fit was good, the detail is good. It's actually pretty impressive for a Revell kit. I mean, considering what I had attempted previously, the A-10 being, so much older and generally pretty poor, I wasn't expecting much when I started this, but I'll be damned if it's actually not, pretty well done. The parts breakdown is really nice. The detail is really nice. It has really well done recessed panel lines and rivet detail. The fit is pretty good. The only spot where I had to use any filler is right here under the intakes. Because it was too many parts all coming together in one place, and if any one of them was even slightly misaligned, you'd end up with a bit of a gap, and that's what happened basically. But a little bit of filler, some sanding, and I was able to get rid of it pretty easily. It has an option for a boarding ladder here, which I did mine up with, because why not? But should you decide not to, there is a little part that fits into the trench, which I used as a mask, basically, because I painted the trench white, and then I put the piece over it, lightly glued it in with white glue, as I painted the rest of the plane. The plane itself, I painted primarily with Tamiya's XF83 Medium Sea Gray. Whether that's the right color or not, I don't give a damn. It looked good, but Actually, I shouldn't say I used exactly this. I darkened it just a very, very slight bit with a little bit of dark sea gray, which actually proved to be a mistake because the contrast between that color and the color I used on the ventral side, which was XF80 Royal Light Gray, proved to be a little bit too strong. So after I removed all the masking, I sprayed the upper surfaces with a very light mist coat of XF80 just to soften the contrast a little bit, which is a technique that I used on my Enterprise A a couple of years ago, and it worked out really, really well. Once it was all painted up, then I did the clear coating and then applied all the decals, and I weathered it using artist's oils. I've only used these a couple of times, and not for several months. The last time that I did was, when the hell was it? It would have been about maybe May, April or May, for my one of my Macross kits, and it turned out actually quite well. The panel lines are a little bit shallow on this kit, so they didn't really hold a lot of paint, but it did create kind of a filter effect on the surface to mottle the color of the various surfaces, which I think worked out just as well. The rivets held paint great. It was the panel lines that, you know, parts of them held it great, but others not so much. Once that was done, then I went at it with weathering pastels, which I use primarily, where did they go? Tamiya's Weathering Master sets. They come in 3-color little trays like this with a little applicator tool. I used primarily Weathering Master set D, which has the oil stain color in one end, and where is the other one? There it is. And set B, which has soot and rust in it. The rust I used primarily under the engines. While I was doing research for this model, I happened upon the website for this squadron, VFA 122 Squadron, and on their front page they have a slideshow of a number of their aircraft in action, and several shots were from underneath, and they show this very sort of grimy brown texture on the underside. So I sought to replicate that, considering I was doing a model of one of their aircraft. You know, how much more accurate can you really get? I mean, I don't know if that's a common feature on these planes, but you know, it was in my reference photos, so I figured, you know, I might as well do it. Plus, it adds a little bit of color to the underside that wouldn't otherwise be there. The decals, I forgot to mention the decals. Not decals, again. Thank you for nobody sent me any comments yelling at me about that. They actually settled down really, really well with a little bit of Solvaset. You probably can't see it in the photo there, but they actually settled into the panel lines and rivet detail on, particularly on the squadron tail markings, really well, really top notch. I was very happy with that. Overall, you know, I mean, being that I'm a first timer, this is my first aircraft kit, you know, I don't want to sound like I'm, you know, doing awesome, because I know I'm obviously going to get better as I do more and more, but for a first start, for a first timer, I think I did pretty well. And I had a really good time doing it. So I definitely intend to continue doing aircraft in the future, which is a good thing, because I've got a pretty big pile of them, which, well, the pile is increasing steadily. It seems that every time I go to the hobby shop, I can't seem to walk out of there without buying something. One thing that I bought, I won't say the last kit that I bought, because this actually isn't the last kit that I bought. I have bought something since then. But the last thing before the last thing that I bought is Tamiya's new Zero, the A6M5/5A Zero. which, well, if you'll stay with me, we can take a look at in another video, because I'm running out of time here. So yeah, I'll have a link in the bottom of this, so do please stick around. Pardon me, do please stick around.